Wouldn't it be nice to wake up on a Monday and not have a whole weekend worth of news that just seems insane? Well, we don't have that right now, but there's four distinct lies you're being told about this latest left-wing lunatic at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and you need to be aware of them. Here's the great news, and I'm going to always try to keep this positive, and there is great news, believe it or not, to get out of this. We're not falling for those lies anymore. At least most of us aren't. And there's one big takeaway about why. The biggest question is, why did this keep happening to Trump? I mean, not you, because you are obviously, really tuned into what's going on in current events, and you understand the deeper meaning behind all this crap. But most people out there are asking this same question because they're just, they're too, and you can't blame them. They're just busy in their lives. They're trying to, get along in the world. Why does this keep happening to this guy? Is he causing it? Now we have an answer to that, too, but we'll get to it. Just one topic today, which is sad, too, but there's a lot of side stories coming out of this one. Thanks for finding me. I appreciate you. Wicked Radio live stream Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube and X and Facebook, and then the replay and audio podcast, wherever you'd like to get those. Well, you know the story. Saturday night, here you go. White House Correspondents' Dinner. They're all dressed up. They're in the tuxes. A nice time at first until they hear a ruckus in the lobby. And then you start to see the Secret Service get into action. That's actually another takeaway on this, is how amazing those people are. Yes, there's an obvious question and a concern about why was the guy even able to get to the lobby of the Correspondents' Dinner. Whole bunch of other questions on that, but they jumped into action. They secured the president. Boy, they really grabbed J.D. Vance. I don't know if you saw the video from that one, but they grabbed him put him like a bear hug and grabbed him off that stage area, and everybody was safe. And then almost immediately, and this is a key part of the story and one of the big takeaways, almost immediately, because all of the lunatics have a propensity to put everything they're all about online, which is key. They never hide anymore, which is an amazing facet of this whole thing. Almost immediately, we knew about this lunatic, what he was all about, and Fox News was on the scene talking about it and already had guests ready to go. CNN did too, obviously. But
But I want to ask you about this news that we heard from the White House about Cole Allen, the suspected shooter, and his motive. I'm being told that he had a manifesto saying he wanted to target Trump administration officials. He had a lot of anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric on his social media accounts and left a manifesto in his hotel room.
Manifesto. Never used to have this, right? Like, I think if we had maybe social media and you had, like, God forbid, the 9/11 terrorists, and probably back then if we had social media like we do now, we probably would have gotten a bigger hint. Maybe wouldn't have stopped it. But that's the first takeaway. All of these lunatics leave clues. They're not going to get any less crazy. This is the first thing we all need to understand, and I think we do now at this point. I think this was the tipping point. They're not going to get any less crazy. TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, is a real thing. It's true. It's real. I think psychologists are going to look back on this era and say, oh, yeah, that's a confirmed diagnosis. TDS, yeah, for sure, for real. It's too much evidence not to point to that. But it's good news, believe it or not, that they leave clues on this because you know exactly where they're coming from. But that leaves the question, isn't it? The first question people have and the first one that needs to be answered. And I mean like normal people. Just normal people trying to live their lives. They're busy. They're not as attuned to current events as probably you are. But normal, regular, everyday people have this question. They do. It seems kind of simplistic. But why does this keep happening to President Trump? And then we get into the other. But he actually answered this question himself from Peter Doocy. Immediately after this incident, they obviously had to postpone the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but he did have a press conference. Everybody's still in tuxes. By the way, side note, it'd be kind of cool if they upped the game on the dress code for the correspondents, for the White House correspondents in the press room. We should make them all wear tuxes. But here was the press conference. Didn't run and hide, and he explained exactly what's going on.
There's a report in the New York Post that this assailant assembled his weapon somewhere on site at the hotel. What do you think about that? And I ask respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after.
He said it right there. Audio was a little low. You got to understand what was going on in the press room at the time. He said it. Great question, by the way, for Peter Doocy. Good for him. He's a really good he's a really good reporter, and he asked the question that most people, most general, normal people are asking. Why does this keep happening? I know to you and me that's a simplistic question. I get it. But it's an important question because most people still don't get that. And this is where we start. And his answer was exactly that. The reason why this keeps happening to him, and if you're faced with this question sometime today or this week or in the future, why do they keep trying to kill your president? You know, some lefty lunatic will say that to you. And here's the answer that Trump just gave us himself. Because he's over the target and he's doing the most. If he was useless, not doing anything, believe me, the communists would want him right in place, doing nothing, because then they win. Why do they try to take him out? Why is all this rhetoric happening? And more on that in just a second. Because he's effective, and they know it, and he's taking their power away, despite what they say. Not only that, and this gets into everything. So, keeps an interview, does the press conference in the White House press room, right there, right in after, when I think a lot of other people would have run and hid. You may not like Trump. You can't say that this guy is a coward. You truly cannot. And the second thing is, kept a pre-scheduled interview, it looks like, with 60 Minutes, because he was sitting there already in his talk. Could have canceled it, could have walked away. And the questions that they faced him with on 60 Minutes were unbelievable, but so was his answer.
So-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
But, do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me.
That's an amazing media moment. People, if universities are real, if communications courses are true to their word, they should study that particular clip of that particular interview for decades to come. It was incredible. First, Trump's response is pretty amazing. You're horrible people, right to her face. And why are they horrible people? Because it's a statement in a question. You got to understand exactly, and when you're a media critic, you understand this kind of stuff. You understand how they make the sausage. So by her asking a question about bringing up his manifesto, you think he was talking about you? Okay. She's making a statement is what she's doing. She's perpetuating this propaganda and this lie about the pedophile, the rapist, the criminal, the thing. And by the way, of all the insane things that the most insane of the lefty lunatics have come up with, where are they getting the pedophile thing? Like, why do they possibly think that that's real? Of all the things you could try to come up with, that's the one they're holding on to with him? Seriously? It makes absolutely no sense. None whatsoever. But that's what they're holding on to. But that's an amazing moment in history. So that's the first thing. That now we got to get into everything that led to this. Because immediately, and it started with that 60 Minutes interview, immediately there were 4 major lies that everybody's got to be aware of when they try to cover up this kind of thing. And it's all by design, all of it. The first thing is we have to tone down the rhetoric. That's the first thing you heard Saturday night. If you dared to venture over into CNN or MS Now or CBS or all that other crap in the mainstream media that created this whole thing with their partners in the left-wing propaganda machine, we need to tone down the rhetoric. The assumption being that it's everybody, right? That it's you, me, everybody else that's actually calling for this kind of violence, implying, without saying it, that Trump is causing this, right? So he dared try to secure the border, bust up all the fraud, take their power away, secure our elections. That's why they hate the guy, because he's effective and over the target, like we said. But we need to tone down the rhetoric. You know how the game is played by now, and that's a good thing. The assumption being it's everybody. It's everybody. We're all so divided. Don't let them pull that crap on you ever. The rhetoric, the violence, and quite frankly, literally the bullets coming from that side. Or I'm sorry, on your screen it would be that side. But anyway, the left side. That's where the violence is coming from. Absolutely, you have lunatics on both sides. Of course you do. But this kind of stuff, you've got a manifesto. You've got a manifesto right there before you. But we need to tone down the rhetoric. That's the first lie. Well, isn't that amazing? I'm sure they didn't predict this, but the night before, I don't know if you saw this. They had a big media thing. Jimmy Kimmel hosted a pretend White House Correspondents' Dinner. What would it look like if he actually hosted it? What would it be like? All his lines and then they inserted, clips from previous things. The night before the White House Correspondents' Dinner, this is what they put up with. And keep in mind lie number one, what they're telling you. We need to tone down the rhetoric. This was the night before in Jimmy Kimmel's pretend mock White House Correspondents' Dinner. Tone down the rhetoric, huh?
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
But tone down the rhetoric, everybody. Got it? Lie number one, right. Tone down the rhetoric. Yeah, okay. That's the tentpole lie in this particular case, because everything is based off of that, because they're assuming that this nation is so divided. No, the good news is all of the absolute complete lunatics are all coming out of the woodwork, and they all have manifestos. That's good news, because you can telegraph it. You can see them coming a mile away. Tone down the rhetoric, huh? Well, for 10 years, his little compilation clip, I don't think I'm going to be able to get through the entire thing, but you tell me about rhetoric when you have, for 10 years now, they've said things like
Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
This is what kicking the shit out of fascism looks like.
Try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us.
So when we say Donald Trump is a fascist, fascism, a huge component of fascism is uniting racism, bigotry, a form of...
But tone down the rhetoric, guys. You got it? Yeah, right. It's them. It's what they do. But they know that the crazies are out there. And a crazy person, imagine just the situation where you're already a little bit touched your entire life, like this correspondence attempted shooter, like him. Your entire life, you've heard that kind of stuff. Not just when Trump was in office. Most likely, this California teacher grew up in a household that was telling him that. He's not that old of a guy, so most of his life he's been around social media telling him that. White people are bad. The country's bad. It's all bad. It's all fascist. Yeah. He's in the school system, so he's learned that. University people have told him that, and he's in California, so he hears this constantly. So when you hear these high-profile elected people and political propagandists saying that kind of stuff about Trump, you don't think that affects the mentally ill? Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does. Here's line number 2. We don't know the motive. Oh, we don't know the motive. Unbelievably, this one, well, a lot of people said it, but prominently, one Barry Obama. You remember him, right? Yeah, the divider-in-chief. Now, this is yesterday, Sunday. This is after we know the details, we know the name. We have the manifesto from this lunatic from California who did this. We know him. After all this, Barry Obama writes, although we don't yet have the details about the motives behind last night's shooting at the White House, it's incumbent to reject the idea that violence... We don't know the motive. Right. That's line number 2. We don't know the motive. In other words, what he's saying is, we haven't done this. No, look the other way. Our 10 years of rhetoric. We haven't done this. No, it's those other guys that need to tone it down. We don't know the motive. Right. Here's the other thing. Third lie about this. Lone wolf. Saw this a lot yesterday. It's a trending topic, because it's like a Google search. When things get written enough on social media, it starts to trend. So you see that term now all the time. Lone wolf. It's always a lone wolf. There are no lone wolves when you have mass media. That's not a concept anymore. Lone wolf. Because that makes it sound like this is just a deranged dude, right? So people like Barry Obama could wash their hands and say, it's a lone wolf. What are you going to do? It's crazies everywhere. What are you going to do? There are no lone wolves. Not when you have 10 years of that kind of rhetoric. There absolutely is none of that. And speaking of Barry Obama, one of his guys, James Carville, Democratic strategist, right? This goes back to the rhetoric thing, right? We all need to tone down the rhetoric. This is the most recent video, I guess? Is it a selfie video? I don't know. That lunatic Democratic strategist James Carville made himself days before this happened. But remember, it's you that need to tone down the rhetoric. Right.
I want to be clear on this. I do not want that man to die. I want to watch him suffer. And I can't watch a dead person suffer. So I want him to be fully cognizant come November. So when people tell him, I want to be clear on this.
He's clear on that. Yeah, you hear that right. but we're supposed to tone down the rhetoric. Right. Well, believe it or not, and you're going to laugh at me, and this is one of those things you're going to say, oh, you just have rose-colored glasses. I mean, God love you for trying to be positive about this, but I'm telling you, there always is a positive throughout all this. As bad as this is, as once you see through all these lies, once you all wrap it all up and you understand this thing and to look at it in a nutshell, there actually is good news. There are less people than ever that believe these 4 lies. Less people than ever, because now they're so obvious about it. It's so easy to see through. Tone down the rhetoric. That's why you cause these lone wolves. Trump caused this himself. We don't know the motive. Find me the people that believe that, and they'll believe anything. It's coming from that side, not from your side. And the biggest answer of all, and you'll probably get this question at some point. Well, why does this keep happening to you, our president? And your simple answer to that is because he's effective, and he's fixing the country. There's your answer to that. Those are the 4 lies, and those are the 4 lies you need to be aware of and bust right through. And once you do, start to get to some truth. Unbelievable. But I'm telling you, the good news is more and more people are aware of this stuff, and so are you. Thanks for finding me. We'll hopefully have some lighter stuff to talk about tomorrow, but there'll be some news to ferret through, I'm sure. And I'll get you through to what matters in your life. We'll talk about that tomorrow. In the meantime, find the replay on X and YouTube and Facebook, and the audio podcast about to be posted shortly, wherever you like to get those. Thanks for follows and all that good stuff. Despite all this, be as smart as you are. Make it a wicked awesome Monday. Talk to you tomorrow.